Sundowns beat Lupopo by 3-1, and in this video, we're going to look at the 5 tactical elements that made Sundowns do this. Let's start with their midfield overload, but not just overloading midfield with 4 players, but also staggering them. By staggering them, we mean they are not in the same line, because usually, when you're talking about a 4-4-2, that's just a flat 4, a flat 4, and a flat 2. But what do you see here is that as much as there is a 2 in midfield, but they are not in one line, which now forces the Lupopo defense to also not set up in a simple and straightforward manner. But now they have to kind of, for example, there's a defender now who has to follow Rezinho down here because Rezinho is not in a flat here where it was going to be easy for him to be marked. You also see Santos is not here where it's easy to mark him, but he also drifts slightly ever wide. And what that does, it creates the gap between him and him and him. And if there are gaps, that's how you then play football. If you look at the second element again, is the fact that they really keep their fullbacks out and wide. And this also just adds to the fact that they want to stretch the pitch. And you will see that this is one thing that Sundowns and Pirates do the same. They both play fullbacks that are really wide, but when you watch Kaizer Chiefs play, you will see that their fullback actually stays back and becomes part of a back 3, and then it's Pulemodi and Lilepo who stay wide usually so that they can stretch. So those are just minor adjustments that they do, but that does not mean Umotiba does not go in. Sometimes Umotiba will see him inverted, but someone will have to be here. In some cases, as we'll see later on in the goal, that person becomes Tashrik Matthews. The next element is the fact that they then have to drift wide. Since obviously they are playing Lupopo, and Lupopo are now concentrated, the 5 players in the middle, what ends up happening is that Sundowns do not have easy passing lanes. And in them not having easy passing lanes, what should they do? Well, drift wide. And if they drift wide, teams know that you play through the middle. Most teams want to play through the middle, but already they have more Tiba wide. And now if Santos drifts wide, someone has to follow him because they will now be able to play the ball there. And as that happens, what will then happen is that the midfielders, the defending team has to now move wide and empty the midfield, which means they can now go in there and be able to play the ball again. Another thing that you'll notice is that it's not just Santos or Rezinho who drift wide, but sometimes it's Tebogo Mokoena himself. And in him doing that, he pulls one of the strikers who are pressing wide, and that means now Sundowns can be able to find passes into the middle. And once you beat the first line of press, you've kind of, put them in trouble, because look at how many Sundowns players are behind the first line of press. The first line of press, I mean this guy and this guy. So if you bypass them, that means now there's 1, 2, 3 Sundowns players who are available to play, and they are very close to each other, and that is also going to be an element later on in the game. So the next thing, it's the runs, and I'm going to show you this one because this is how the first goal came about. So if you look here, you have Ikram Reyners, you have Rezinho, right? So what do? You have Rezinho making a run, but he's not running fast. He's just kind of standing still outside the box. And then you have Reyners pinning this defender and this defender back. Matthews is also helping here. But look at their movement. The movement is so synchronized that when Reyners moves out and the ball is on Mokoena, Rezinho automatically knows. Look at his body shape. He knows now that Mokoena is about to play the ball. Someone might think, why is Reyners coming out? No, he's actually creating space for Rezinho, because now as the ball comes in, now he's the one who's attacking that space. You want to see how that happened in the goal? Okay, here. Mtau has the ball. There is Santos, edge of the box. Mtau has played the ball and the ball is now wide. You see the body shape of Santos? He's ready to attack. But look at Matthews as well. So Matthews sees that the ball is about to be played in. He does not wait in the box to attack it. He's doing the same thing that Reyners was doing. What does it do? He moves away, and that creates that thing of defenders following him, which means Santos can now run into that space unmarked and score a goal. It's planned, right? And then the next one is going to be how Sundowns also overload the wide the wide zones, because they see that, okay, this team is cramming us. They think we're going to play centrally, we're going to move wide, and as they move wide, what happens? The team is obviously going to follow them. Now, this is where I say, if you're enjoying the video, please do make sure to subscribe to the channel for more tactical breakdowns like this and other videos about football that I will be releasing. Formations, what is space and how space is used, the lines that you don't see that are drawn in a football pitch. Nje, there's still a lot of content coming in, so do make sure to subscribe. Which then brings us to the overloads. As you can see again, they are there. With one pass, because now you have 4 Sundowns players overloading that left side. One pass comes in here and then the ball is up in a dangerous area. This is the full formation, which shows exactly what I was saying. So you can see Tebogo Mokoena is deep to collect the ball. You can see in this case, again, you have Allende here, you have Rezinho ahead of him, you have Santos there, then the fullbacks highlighted, they're holding the width, with the 2 quickest players of Sundowns, in this case, Reyners and Matthews, staying up front. Not here centrally, no. They have to stay wide because then they have to stretch the defense. And also this allows them to have 1, which is Reyners, 2, which is Rezinho, 3, which is Umtao wide when they are trying to do those overloads in the wide areas. Now let's look at these in play in a goal. So for the goal, one thing that you see is that Sundowns, very obviously, we've known this, they are very good at pressing, at counter pressing and winning the ball back. So that's what Allende does. He wins the ball back, but look, immediately after they win the ball, you have Santos wide, right? And on top of that, you have Umtao, who's also wide. The ball is played to Santos, who drives with the ball. But what I like about this goal is that Modiba is not here. He's still holding his width because he knows he's not the main person who's about to receive the ball here. His job is not to go and score. His job is to make this defender not go in here and outnumber Matthews and Reyners. So as you can see, he's slightly undecisive because he's thinking about him and he's also thinking about Rezinho, who's running towards him. So he's now in a very precarious situation. Now, Matthews runs into the box and then with his one touch, he plays the ball. Now, look at this thing that we talked about the runs of the midfielders in that first goal, that they just stand slightly behind the strikers. And now in this case, it's even more because it's a transition. So more people are committed forward. 1, 2, 3, all midfielders just outside the box. And what does he do? He gets the ball, Santos. He plays it to Allende. Allende who floors one and then takes a shot. And then Sundowns score their second goal. In their last goal, you also see these elements in play. All the elements in Sundowns' approach are here in this goal. For starters, midfield overload. There is 5 Sundowns players versus 4 Lupopo. So that means it's easy to pass the ball from Mokoena to Modiba. Modiba is pressed by 2 players, but there is an easy pass gain because they have an overload. And after that, this is where you see what this shape of Sundowns does to this team. For starters, look at this gap, look at this other gap. But in a match, it's very difficult because for one, he is out of position in this way because he's thinking about the person who's here, which is Matthews, right? So he's out. The second thing, you have the wing back, the left wing back on top is thinking about who? He's thinking about one person, Umtao, right behind him. So he's caught. And then you have the 2 defenders who are pinned back by Usale and Usale right here and Ikram Reyners here. So there's a lot of disorganization. Now, one of the center backs steps up to try and close him down. But this ball is moving way too quick now because, as I said, the passes for Sundowns are too easy. Even here, he can pass the ball wherever at this point. He can pass the ball wide. He can pass the ball if he wanted it to, like he did in this case, through. He can still pass the ball wide as well if he wanted to. Too many options because there are too many Sundowns players here. He ends up passing it. And now that they are wide, it's panic stations. Saleh find himself free in the box, he plays the ball. But here's the thing about Santos, just like he did in his first goal, he doesn't just attack the box, but he stands in an area, and then once the ball is played, that's when he now runs forward and is able to score his goal, and Sundowns are 3 goals up. And you watch this game and you see that all of these elements keep on popping up in how they are playing the game. And it's going to be interesting to see how much impact Rezinho and Santos have on this Mamelodi Sundowns team. But how did you guys see this game? Do let me know down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.